My turn to do.
Yeah, we're live on Facebook.
We're live on both actually.
Ooh.
Good evening.
Sorry,
Sorry, people.
Oh.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. What's the title again?
Family Lies and Secrets.
Part two.
Part two.
Because now we're going to talk about the lies that the royal family.
Yeah.
You know, they
So
have some.
You know, we started.
Hello, Angel.
Oh yeah, she's already on. You know. Hello. Yeah. As you know, last week we spoke about family lies and secrets, but that we didn't really touch on the royal family much. We did a little bit because we talked about Meghan and Harry and what was going on there. But now we're actually going deeper into it to look at other things that are, secrets and lies and the way that they behave and all the things that they are doing.
We all look super.
Oh, fact.
And the connection to slavery.
Yeah, and their connection to slavery and the origins of the slavery and their connection to that as well. Because they might as well have started it. Oh, why is everybody's phone all blasting out the place today? No, let me just make sure mine is low before I even go on there.
That's better. Honestly, I don't even know why it was doing that, and I switched it off before.
Yes, so did I.
So,
They like to do that. Well, they're all Apple phones, aren't they? So there you go.
yeah, they just do the one thing.
Right. Yeah.
And we'll be having commercial breaks today because we have to advertise. But you'll hear more about that later. So when the sponsor needs to advertise, we'll let you know. So who's going first then?
What with the info?
Yeah. Should it be me?
Go, or do you want to go?
I don't know.
Maybe I should go first and talk a little bit about the bloodline thing. Yes. And then
because we're gonna talk about Meghan Markle's connection to the royal family, because had she not been connected, she wouldn't have been able to marry Harry. Forget all the shenanigans that's gone on of the racism and all the rest that goes with it. And all these people, by the way, who are jumping up and down and saying that the royal family are not racist.
Yes, they are.
I'm going to prove to you exactly who they are by the time we finish today. So who
are these people? And
you make your own conclusions, but I guarantee you, apart from real, absolute bounty coconut people of colour, it will only be white people that say that.
Yeah.
And there have been one or two, like I said, bounty coconut people of colour who have said, "Oh, they're my friends and they're not racist." You are an idiot.
They're your friends.
You are an idiot. But we will show you what we'll show you, and then you'll get it from there. It's very simple. So, Tamar, you go ahead and yeah.
Okay, so I'll start off by speaking about the Queen. Obviously, as we already know, the Queen. I mean, we've spoken about this before.
The Queen Elizabeth II.
Yes, Queen Elizabeth II. Lizzie, yeah,
Lizzie,
and all her, relatives, etc. They all have this same blood type, which we've specified before, which is the Rh negative blood type, but as we like to call it, Nephilim.
And although there might be people other than them with the Rh blood type, that's not what we're talking about.
No, that's not what we're talking about. It's
It's deeper than that.
Yeah, it's deeper than that. And if you know what I was looking at was some facts about the Queen and how she operates when she travels or goes anywhere other than the palace or Windsor Castle or whatever. So I read this thing and it says, right. It says, first of all, the Queen travels with 34 people, including a private secretary, hairdresser, press officers, 8 bodyguards, and more. So that means there's more people, but they don't want to tell you what the other people's operations are, first of all. And
there won't be bodyguards.
Of course, they're not just bodyguards. There won't be 30 bodyguards, will there? Or 20 or whatever, how many's left. They already told you there's 8 bodyguards, so then other people are operating for something else. Then it says she also travels with her Royal Navy doctor everywhere, but not without her own bag of blood.
Yeah.
And
Her
this is
own blood.
her own
That
blood.
she has drawn from her
Yeah.
veins and then deposited it
Yes,
to use
yeah.
for herself.
And she specifically does this if she believes if she believes that she's traveling to a place where the blood supply is questionable. And that's what it actually says in the article. If she goes to a place where she believes the blood is questionable,
Which means like basically everywhere.
it's just normal blood. Yeah. Because where's she gonna go where it's not questionable?
Her blood is
According to her.
Yeah, of course.
So she's taking her blood with her everywhere.
Yeah.
Her own blood.
Yeah. And so then I also was looking into, obviously, because we had already discussed last week that there was no way that Meghan could be married into the royal family if she didn't have the bloodline or, have descendants from there. So I found this thing, this article from 2017 actually, that says royal family studied Meghan Markle's bloodlines before Harry's proposal. Yeah, so if you lot need any more evidence, do you want to show you the article there? There, just so I don't know if you can see
It
good.
will probably come out back to front because of the way the lens is.
Yeah, you can't even see it good. Can you see it?
Yeah, it's come out back to front.
Yeah, it has. But that's what it says on there, and it says Meghan Markle's DNA was analysed by the British royal family before Prince Harry was allowed to ask for her hand in marriage. Yeah, the actress claims she was forced to endure a heel prick test and wait 1 week for Buckingham Palace to determine whether she had suitable blood. Yeah. So there's suitable blood and then there's questionable blood.
Right.
Yeah.
So those are already two things that we need to define. What do they mean by questionable blood? Let me say that as far as I'm concerned, it means blood that doesn't contain any of them.
Yeah.
So that means a number of things. One, it means the Nephilim blood, which if you don't know what that means, we will not explain now. You will have to go and watch some of our other lives, and maybe if you would like, you can inbox me for information, and then you can find out more that way if you don't know. That's number one. Number two, the issue of questionable blood, as they would put it, has to do with what they feel will be the colour of the person. And clearly, that is an issue for them, as you will see when we show you some more information. And yes, Meghan apparently is a woman of colour, very slightly, yes. And that's the reason why they weren't that bothered, because it's just very marginal, and because her bloodline matches their suitable blood.
Yeah.
And that's what they were looking for, suitable blood, because they feel that their blood is more superior than other people. Now I'll tell you plain, there's nobody more superior than me. There's nobody inferior to me either. We're all human beings, except the fact that some of them aren't human beings. But that's another story. If you don't know about that, that's okay. But we are human beings. Some of them are not. But we all live on this earth together, and nobody is better than anybody else.
Yeah.
We might have different functions in life, different jobs, etc. But no. So the fact of the matter is that why are we even saying that the royal family have got lies and secrets? Because they tried to paint this image of we just very much doing what we need to do, and that none of this is important, and that we're not terrible, we're not discriminatory and all this type of thing. They are very discriminatory.
Yeah.
They look down on people. And there are a lot of things that they do, which if people knew, they might not find them so tasteful.
Yeah.
Even things from their background, historically, that people have overlooked. And if it were other families and other people, they wouldn't overlook it. But suddenly for them, it's been overlooked. Even criminal things that are overlooked, but for other people. So just give me a minute.
Yeah, that name. is in this 13 bloodlines that
Yeah. Because it says on this thing here, it says it is understood that Meghan Markle is descended from the House of DuPont,
and that's
an
like,
elite European Illuminati bloodline
Yeah.
on her father's side.
and
Yeah.
that's the fourth out
But
of 13.
Yeah.
I'll read the lowdown on that just now.
And obviously Rockefeller and Rothschild is in that list.
Yeah, but they're all connected.
Yeah.
Because if they weren't all connected, they couldn't be in the positions that they're in.
Yeah.
But let me just give you that piece of information there about Meghan and her daddy.
Little news punch thing.
So, okay, so here's the thing, and I'm going to mention this name again, but just you'll understand further if you watch on how the connection is. There's a person by the name of Ralph Bowes, Bowes, Ralph Bowes, who was born in I guess it's Streatham, County Durham, in 1480, and served as the High Sheriff of the region. So he is the connection between Harry and Meghan, and they're both connected through this person, Ralph Bowes. Bowes was Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's great-grandfather from 14 generations earlier. The ancestry goes long back to the Queen Mother, whose original name was Elizabeth Bowes Lyons, and that's obviously Queen Elizabeth II's mother, Harry's great-grandmother. Thomas Markle, Meghan's father, can be traced back to an Englishman called Ralph Bowes, whose estates passed down to a George Bowes due to succession of male heirs, and who was related to the Queen Mother too. So that's the relational part. And there's more to be said about that later concerning the slavery issue. Right? So that's the connection. That they are connected through Queen Elizabeth's mother.
Yeah, the Queen Mother.
That's their family connection. So Meghan's father is connected to the royal family on that side. And it's quite obvious that had there been no connection, she would have not been married to Harry. So all this stuff that's going on, and it, you know, and I'm not against Meghan by any means, because we tried to just speak the truth. So we're not saying that none of the things happened, but what we're saying is that this was not anything that's new. It was apparent before she married Harry how things would be. So when she's jumped in now and said, "Oh, the royal family is this, that, and the other," her bloodline has always been connected to them anyway. And I do not believe that it's something that they only just discovered. Right? They will have done their due diligence a long time ago, and she would have understood. Even the average person who actually thinks that they could never marry into the royal family understands the dynamics of how they operate. Now, not just the UK royal family, but others as well. They understand the dynamics of it. So somebody like Meghan, who actually has a bloodline connection, she will have understood that even more. So for her to sort of sit there shocked to death, oh, they seem to be racist, and well, she also has racist ancestors, as I will show you. You know, deeply racist.
But I don't know what
and you know, so she happens to be somebody who has a bit of color. The color comes from her mother, and the mother is not connected by bloodline to these people. So you know, so that's where the issue is there. She's not connected by natural blood from her mother's side. You know, that's the witchcraft element, which we're not talking about today. But again, if you think that we're just making stories, go check it. The information is all out there if you look hard enough. So the issue really is that, again, she's telling all these stories, the royal families like this, so that as if it was such a big shock to her system. No, it's a lie. Because I'm telling you now, she identifies herself as a woman of color politically.
For real.
right? It's, trust me, we've been looking like this all our lives as well. So it's not like we don't understand the issues, right? And what we will have struggled with, she wouldn't have struggled with much of that.
Because she's actually pretty passing. So
You know,
there'll be a lot of times where people don't even know that she's a person of color.
she could have told people, "Oh, I come from southern Spain or
She just come
Italy
back
or
from holiday.
somewhere.
Puerto Rico or something," and
Yeah.
they will have actually accepted. It's not going to be the
Just
case
been
with
on
any of us.
Sunday.
So
Even
she
if
actually,
we were from Puerto Rico,
even if we
or
were,
Spain,
they'd be like, "No,
yeah, they'd be like, yeah, but where
where
that?
before that?
Yeah.
So from there, yeah, we're from the Dominican Republic. Yeah, but before that, from there.
There's no before that.
See, now these are all the things that we want to just straighten
Yeah.
so that people understand. And I'm going to talk about that, God's willing, if we get that far. You know, when we talk about the Maroons, because the narrative about the Maroons has been that is full of lies.
Yeah.
Full of lies. And especially for Jamaicans, they need to understand it.
Yeah.
Because there are many Jamaicans who claim heritage, you know, say, oh, some of my people are you know, they're from the Maroons. Maybe not. Let me define properly when we get to it. Then you might either realize that it's not, or that you might change your mind, or you might want to disassociate yourself from that bloodline when you actually hear about maybe where yours once came from. So, you know, and these are the things that sometimes the families do know and they keep it secret. Like I told you on another live once before, I've asked my dad when he was alive about our, you know, heritage and stuff like that. And he said, "No, we don't come from Africa. I told you that already." And he's gone on and talked about reasoning for it. And his reasoning is clear because I've looked into it and studied into it and understood the reasoning. Now, the narrative remains the same, and these are lies. Which, okay, this now is not like maybe personal family, as in your immediate family necessarily, but it is to an extent an extended family issue, as in they want to tell you that all people of color are only family connected in one way. Not so. We watched a program yesterday, myself and Tamar. Sorry, I can't remember the name of the program at the moment.
There's something like the road to salt or something.
Yeah, but in any case, basically, the lady who was in the program, she's a white. Well, she presents herself. Let me put it that way.
Yeah,
She presents herself
identifies.
as a white Scottish woman, and she says that she is an Arabist, which means that she studies everything Arabic to do with the Arabs, the Arabic language. She studies Islam. She's not a Muslim, but she studied everything about all of that. So she was doing this trek from Morocco to Timbuktu. And that's how they pronounce it. It's not Timbuktu. Timbuktu is how they pronounce it. So, which is in Mali. So she talks, you know, on her way. She was in Morocco, talked about the people who were in Morocco now and the ones who were there before. And now I'm listening to it and I'm thinking, you're talking some male cow excrement. You know, she really was talking some serious doo-doo. Yeah, because everything, the narrative is all whited off.
Yep.
Right? And now, okay, those who don't like what I'm saying now,
it's the truth.
Guess what? I'm not lying. Right? Go and look at the information and find out for yourself. Because this is what's been happening. I mean, I'm in my 50s. She's in her 20s. She's in her 30s. And all of us have had the same narrative. And it's a lie.
Yeah.
Right? It is a lie. So here we are again. We're watching TV 2021 and the narrative hasn't changed.
No.
Right? They're still lying to people. But now the difference is that a lot of people are not accepting it.
Yeah.
Even if they don't actually know how to look for the real identity and the real information. They just say, no, it's not like that. And they're just not accepting it.
Mhm.
And that's the reason why people like us sit here and do what we do. I mean, why are they talking about that again? That's
Because it's relevant.
Because it is.
24/7.
It's relevant, and because it's the truth. And we also believe that lies should be exposed. You see? So now here she says, oh yes, the people,
Yeah, the Berbers.
the Berbers were they were the indigenous people of Morocco and other parts of Africa, all the way to Mali.
Mm.
Malians are very dark.
Mm.
Mali is very hot.
Mhm.
It's in the desert. It is roasting,
Mhm.
right? But all of a sudden they're white faced. It's a lie.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If you even go by the first people in modern times who were in the Iberian Peninsula, as in southern Spain and Portugal, they were all dark skinned. Even until today, they're dark skinned. Maybe not as dark as they were, and you know we will come to some of the reasons why that is so. But these are the lies that have been perpetuated,
Yeah.
and so we're still watching it on TV. Just yesterday,
She even
and the
was
same lie.
contradicting herself.
Of course, she contradicted herself. She spoke about a mosque
Yeah.
that was built
That clay
in
mosque.
Timbuktu by Mansa Musa, who was the richest man of color, dark-skinned man, black politically, as they
Mhm.
call it, who ever lived,
Yeah.
ever. And he was super rich
Mhm.
until he actually collapsed the economy of gold
Yeah.
because he had so much of it.
Mhm.
Now, here's the interesting thing. They turned around and said, "Oh, Islamic extremists went into Timbuktu
Mhm.
and they took over in I can't remember which year. It might be 2012, maybe.
Yeah, I think it was 2012.
And they took over the city and locked the city.
Mm.
There was no more, they weren't allowed to play music and they weren't allowed out of the city and so on and so forth. And they went to the big library that's there and they began burning books.
Mhm.
So she asked the librarian, why do you think that they did that of all things? Why did they begin burning books in this library in Timbuktu, which has had books there for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years?
Evidence.
So he said, well, they burnt the books because these are his exact words. He said they're burning those books because those books are the history of black people, the history of Africa, and the history of the world.
There you go.
That's what those books contain. And he knows what he's saying because he will have read all of them.
Because he was
Right? He's the custodian of the library.
The custodian of the
So
library.
he said that they were literally specifically burning
choosing
those books,
Yeah.
which gave the history of black people, the history of Africa, and the history of the world. And he said they had to begin taking those books out and hiding them.
Yeah.
And when they knew that the French and the UN forces were upon them and they were gonna be expelled from Timbuktu,
Mhm.
they got a big case of books and they began burning them, set them on fire
Quick time. Yeah.
quickly. Now I sat there and I said to Tamar, okay, we understand, we're here.
This is a very, very long.
Okay, read it. Go on, read it, please.
From Gillian.
Gillian, yes.
Yeah. I really do get what you guys are saying, but the fact of the matter is, Megan does come from a black lineage, regardless of how she looks. I have two granddaughters who are very fair skinned, although neither have white parents, and although they may not be immediately looked upon and prejudiced against, they still feel the pain as people are sometimes more inclined to speak more freely about their hatred of blacks in front of them, not realizing that these people identify as black.
Yeah, I get that.
I don't feel like
that's not even really what I'm saying because I know that happens. She can tell you her mother is the same as you, Gillian, and her granny is white. So you know the story. It's the same thing here. You know what I'm talking about is your personal identification. And if people look into the background of Megan, they'll see that she hasn't identified with us.
No, she hasn't.
You know, just look back and see who she has been and how she has been how she has lived her life, etc., etc. She hasn't identified with us.
That's the point we're making.
You know, that's the point I'm making.
And
really.
now, when she's come into the royal family and she's felt that,
and
that
the Black Lives Matter is a thing.
Yeah.
So she's jumped on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. That's what I'm really trying to say.
I'm not being the first time in their life.
You know, I'm not even saying that what she said that she's experienced is not true. I'm not saying that at all, because I believe that the royal family are racist.
They are,
right? I'm not even going to mince my words. Prince Philip is racist. Queen Elizabeth II is racist.
Mm-hmm.
Charles is racist.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what they say.
William.
Oh, this he's not. He's like this. William is racist.
Yeah.
Right? We know that, and they can say all they want. We're not even saying that they're not. So I'm not denying any of what she would have of experienced or suffered. I'm just saying that historically she hasn't really identified herself with us. You see.
Yeah.
And just because, you know, because this is where the issue comes in a reverse kind of way. When someone says, yeah, my mum is white or my mum is black, okay, because your mum is your mum, but that still doesn't mean that you identify that way. You know, and I could say more, but I don't really want to blow up people's business, you know, because for us, we have a personal issue that fits that picture, right? A personal family issue that fits this picture. But like I said, I don't want to blow up people's business, so I'm leaving it right where it is. But these two, they know what I'm referring to, and even those who may watch it, when they know, you know, they know what I'm saying. So my point is that it's some people almost get the choice to identify one way or the other.
Yes,
but
depending on their
but
features.
Some don't,
and other people do not.
Some don't,
and that's the fact.
And this is where the issue is, that it shouldn't be an issue for you to have to identify one way or the other.
Yeah, you should.
All people should be looked at as people.
Yeah,
but we know that that's not the case. And one of the reasons why that isn't the case is because people don't know the real truth.
Yeah. So unless
you're
understand, they're confused.
Exactly. You're given this false narrative. So, for instance, like we were saying about Timbuktu and the book,
continuously pushed.
Right? The lady who is a white lady who did the program, it's simple for her to talk the things that she's saying because they don't affect her. So she's not even realizing what she's saying because she's just talking. Like she mentioned the mosque which was built in Mali. Anybody go and look it up. If you don't know about Mali, you know, go and look and see. Go and look and see how the people look there and see where it is. It's a very hot place. All right, and the people who are there, we know how they look.
I'd be looking white.
And you understand? And listen, and this is the truth again. When white people have tried to get in there, they used to kill them off.
Yes.
Right? I'm not saying that it's right, but they didn't. They did not get in there easily. So now the narrative of people of color, they've been this color and now they're this color. That's not even true about Mali. The woman turns around and says, and many people have listened to her and swallowed those lies. Oh, they built this mosque in honor of the white-faced Berbers who were the rulers of this land. It is a lie. It is a dirty, stinking lie.
5 minutes later, she then spoke about a Scottish man, innit?
A Scottish white man who went there and they even shot him in his body.
Yeah. And he died there.
Right? So,
and what was he? And why was he there? What you then later
listen to this. The reason why they were, and this is years later, Mansa Musa was in the 14th century. Now,
this was 60s.
This is now, a couple of hundred years on from that slavery time.
Yeah.
You know, my man was rushing to go to Timbuktu for one reason. He didn't make it. About 100 years later, or whatever it was, a French guy went there. Boom, we found Timbuktu. Blah blah, this and that. Do you know what they really were there looking for? And this is the thing: gold. Go and have a look and see how much gold is produced from that country, and then you'll understand.
Back in the old
you'll understand what's really going on. And do you know, the lady proved the point, which she wasn't trying to prove it the way how we saw it,
yeah,
but it proved the
did.
point. They were digging at this mine, and the mine was just it was
See, that's
terrible looking place. In
Yeah.
other words, no proper health and safety measures in
Yeah.
place, no proper equipment, no proper security or anything.
Nothing.
Just you dig for the gold and we take it from you.
Yeah.
So now they showed just a little bit of gold there. 35 grams, £700.
Some small little bit.
So
like
she
that.
said, "Oh, let me have a dig." I'm telling you, she did. She went and dug
For like 1 minute.
1 minute, 2 minutes maximum. She
Mhm.
found a
A little
gold.
nug.
So that shows you how fertile the land is. And like I said, I'm not giving out all the information. I'm giving you a snippet.
Mm.
Go and do your own study and find out about how much gold there is in Mali.
Yeah.
Because trust me, that's the reason why the United Nations have locked it off, and the French.
Because you couldn't even
French
get in
troops
there.
and United Nations have locked off that area.
Mhm.
That's the real reason.
You couldn't travel
And this is
anywhere
what
in
we're
there.
talking about the false narrative, about the lies. That, oh, it's because Islamist extremists went there and destabilized the city and were burning books. Those people were paid to do that. I'm telling you that now.
Yeah.
And as we would say, or as I say, as my mum had taught me, I'm an architect, but my tongue. They were paid to do that.
They were paid.
Right? They know what they were doing.
The little fake ISIS.
Yeah. They were paid.
Whether you want to hear
You
that
know,
or not.
because then she turned around and said, "Oh, you know, this trade route, the route from Timbuktu to Morocco still exists."
Yeah.
Right? It's still traded on that same route.
Yeah.
She
There's
talks
still
about.
no man.
Listen to this. This is the thing. She said this. She said, "Oh, so that she was talking with someone. Said, oh, well, where did the books used to go?" And they said, "Oh, well, scholars in Timbuktu." Now, what color? Me, I'm getting mad about this. What color would those scholars in Timbuktu have been?
Yeah.
Hear what I'm saying? Listen, this is really serious,
And they
because these are the lies that people have dug into their heads, and when they don't know how to look or to think differently, they just, oh, is that how it was? No, that's not how it was. The man said, scholars in Timbuktu. That means people who look like me and she and darker, right? They were sending books. They sent them through on that route. They sent them to Morocco. She said when they reached Morocco, because it was the same people, the Berbers, and the Tuaregs, they brought them to Morocco. Then now, when they went into the Iberian Peninsula, which is southern Spain and Portugal, they brought that level of education and study and culture into the Iberian Peninsula. Those were people of this color, and they brought the Renaissance to Europe. That's facts, 100% facts. But now, when you look at it, you're taught, oh, the Renaissance, that's a European thing. Yeah. No, the Renaissance began in Africa. Yeah. Right? And it traveled to Europe. It began in Africa and it traveled. Yeah. But now they give you this different narrative. And there were already people of color in Europe. Yeah. Right? That's what they don't want you to understand. They want to tell you, if every person of color, you came from Africa. No, they did not. No, they didn't. It's a lie. Till now, all I have to always say is Australia.
Right then. What we saying then?
What's today's topic?
It's on the screen. Yeah, it's there, isn't it? It's talking about the royal family.
Well, yeah.
Well, family lies and secrets. We've started off today a bit about talking about more about secrets and lies.
Mm-hmm. That are things generational now. Yeah. That affect like nations, not just one family unit, but us as a people. Yeah. You know, that's where we're coming from now. Mm-hmm. That these things do affect people as a people, because this is why then there are people who even are born into a country who don't have an identity. Yeah. You've got young. There was a lady in the program we watched yesterday, and maybe this is just the hand of God Himself that said, "Watch that program." Watch this program yesterday. You know, this lady, she's dark, so they told her, "Oh, you're a Berber, but only partly," because then they said, "Oh, your mother was an Ethiopian slave, and your grandfather, no, sorry, your
It was her granddad.
No,
and
no,
her
sorry, it was
granddad.
her great grandmother
Mm.
was an Ethiopian slave who then married an ex slave,
Mhm.
and then her grandfather even was a slave, and her mother was a slave.
Yeah.
So in other words, they're still giving her the same narrative that the only reason why you're that color and you've got the Ethiopian roots because you were slaves.
Yeah. You didn't come
Right?
from
And
here.
we know it's Cal's
But yeah,
tribe.
her family were Berbers, and
Yeah.
did they not say in the beginning of the program that Berbers were the
Yeah.
indigenous people of
Morocco.
Morocco?
They don't
So
even
how
know
can
what
it
they're
be
talking
possible?
about.
It's
And
Cal's
this is what
tribe.
I'm talking about when they contradict their own lies
Because
because
all
they
of
are
them-
feeding a narrative.
That's right, and all of them were still Africans. And this is the
Yes.
issue. You see, but the fact is that they don't want people to understand what has really gone on. And trust me, we're coming back to the royal family hard
Yeah.
in a minute. We're coming back to them. I have some heavy things to tell you about the so-called royals, because you see, at one minute they want to follow. This is, you've got to understand this, that because they play games with people's intelligence, and some people actually are not intelligent,
Yeah.
unfortunately,
And it's not their
so
fault.
they just swallow the
They
narrative.
just get
This is
whatever
where the
information.
lies are perpetuated.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing that happens. For instance, I remember when I was in school, right, and I did love history, but I sat there listening to them chat about
Rubbish.
the Yorkists, Tudors and Stuarts,
Yeah.
Henry VIII and all this, and and all this Elizabethan.
Yeah, the
So-
Elizabethan
And I sat there
era.
thinking, why am I listening to all this load of crap? Right? When they mentioned anything about Africa, it's just slavery. That's all they mentioned in my school days.
Yeah.
Slavery alone. Now
changed.
people will jump, oh, but we've gone past that.
No,
Well,
we
no, you
haven't.
haven't. Because my granddaughter told me the other day.
Right then.
You understand?
Let's
They're
be
not
real,
teaching
they're not
anything
teaching
better.
nothing. All they're teaching now is, Nelson Mandela, one name, Malcolm X, and even that one, they're not feeling that one too tough. It's Martin Luther King who they want to teach
They
more,
want to teach about Martin
and the
Luther
one
King.
and Rosa Parks. That's what. That's
And
it.
Rosa Parks
That
is already
is it.
that is already a doctor's story.
Yes,
Martin
it is.
Luther King was bogus.
Yes, he
Yeah.
was. Yeah,
He
was
worked. He
actually a
worked for
sellout.
them,
He was
Yeah.
a sellout, and that's why they used to call him Martin Coon King.
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
didn't like Malcolm X
Yeah.
because Malcolm X wasn't
Was not a
working for
sellout.
them,
Yes.
and that's why they made sure they found another coconut
Yeah.
and done him.
And that's why
Yes.
they talk about Martin Luther and not Malcolm X.
Yes.
Right?
Because they didn't like the narrative.
Yes.
But people, if they don't go and look for these things,
You don't
you don't find it, because they didn't have that in school by them
No.
days. Tudors and Stuarts, this and that, all the white people things.
Yeah.
And you have to believe that they were always the dominant ones of the world.
Yeah.
They were the first ones in the world.
It's a lie.
They are the first nations
It's a lie.
and all of this. And it's not true.
My dad already knows. As soon as they were telling me something at school, what was happening, I was coming back in quick. Dad, they said this at school. They ain't sounding.
And I would
right
go
to me.
and I would give them all the information and ammunition to prove them wrong.
Mhm.
Just like my father did with me.
Kind of
He had
right.
books upon books upon books, because of course in my era there wasn't internet,
Yeah.
and my dad had a library of books
Mhm.
and encyclopedias. And every Saturday I'd go to the library, to the reference library, and sit there for hours. My dad would leave me there and go shopping and come back and be laughing. You're still sitting here. And I would be reading and reading and reading and reading.
Yeah.
No one can't tell me rubbish.
No.
Right? But there are many people who don't know.
And they
There's
will
lots of
argue.
young men of colour who struggle
Yeah.
with identity, because even the whole thing
understand.
between African, Caribbean,
Yeah.
and all of this, they don't even know how to balance it.
No. And some of you are African and you're calling yourself Caribbean, and some of you are Caribbean and you're calling yourself African and you don't even know.
Yeah.
Because you don't actually know your roots.
Yeah.
Why? Because of slavery and what's happened and all the mixing
And the lies.
and the blending and the lies. Because if there was no lies, people could easily trace their roots
Yeah.
a lot better, because they say, okay, well, I know that this person came to America at this point, and there was nobody from my family in America before that time. So where were we before then? Boom. But no, you can't even find this information out. Yeah, everybody was just Africa, and that's it. And for some unknown phenomenal reason, there's some black people in Australia just randomly there.
Yeah, they
that
just
were
appeared
already
out of
there.
nowhere. And
Yeah.
here's the thing. Have you ever thought that before this Black Lives Matter thing became a thing, right? They were not pushing this DNA testing narrative.
Never.
But now all of a sudden they're literally pushing it to the center of
See
your
who
nostril.
you are.
See who you are. And every
They
person of
want to tell you more
every
lies.
person of color, it's sub-Saharan Africa.
Yeah.
Please move and go over that story. Liars.
Yeah.
Move from around
Every
here.
person of sub-Saharan Africa.
Lies.
Yeah. And
Lies.
unless you've got some sort of what they would call white or something like that, or some sort of then it's North Africa. They'll put a little bit in there. So like if I did mine, I'd probably get a little bit of North Africa, or as they call Middle East, or somewhere
Yeah,
like
no,
that.
Middle East.
Even though there is
And even the North Africa people
remember
with
that?
a
They
lighter
were
color.
dark.
The ones
When
that
we watched on
they
the TV,
they were not even
they were darker than
Yeah.
me.
because
and
they're
they're
still,
not even
because
in the
it's still,
sun.
it's still Africa.
They're
exactly.
And the ones who are not, we know it's because of those who are already the Neanderthal-blooded
Yeah.
Europeans who came down. And remember, for 700 years, it was dark people who ruled the Iberian Peninsula,
Yeah.
and that's Europe.
Yeah.
For 700 years.
And
they are the ones who gave all the culture, the mathematics, the physics, the sciences, the universities, the libraries,
street
lighting, the architecture. It was
everything.
them, and they were people of color. And by the way, they were not only Muslims, because that's another narrative which even today I'm not even going to go too hard into that, right? Because
that will take us
when we talk about that one, I'm going to bring some other heads on here to add to this conversation, right? Who probably can put it even better than I might be able to. But I will bring them in when the time comes. We'll be on that one. But listen, the Jews, the Arabs, the Tuaregs, the Berbers, the Moors, they were all together. And guess what? They all were the same colors. Right? They all were the same. It's a lie that they tell you. Oh, it was only. And when they say Moors, listen. Even one of the ways how you know this is a big joke and a lie. Their own people. Listen, their own people, the ones who wrote their history, who wrote their narrative. It's not freezing, is it? No. The ones who wrote their history, wrote their narrative. They call people of color, or black people, as they like to call them politically, they call them Moors.
Yeah.
Right? British English here, the English called them blackamoors.
Yeah.
So what are they trying to say? So you had blackamoors and whiteamoors then, did you? Because I've never seen whiteamoors written anywhere.
Yeah, never.
No.
It's only Moors or blackamoors, right. And that's fact.
And that's because they're talking about the same people.
The same people.
And they meant people of color.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, no, they were a bit brown. They were brown. They were a bit lighter.
They were not light.
Because remember, black is a political term.
Yeah.
It is not the coloration of your skin.
Nobody was actually black until what?
Until slavery.
Yeah. Nobody
when the Spanish and the Portuguese coined the term because they had a reason behind it.
Yeah, of course.
Right? And they coined it long even before they began the slavery.
Yes.
Because it was a plan.
Yes.
You see? Because the Jews, the Arabs, the Tuaregs, and the Berbers were already going from Morocco, going into Europe, going from Europe into Africa. Yeah. They were already doing that backwards and forwards.
Yes.
Because Morocco to Europe is just across the road.
Literally. I've been to Morocco. It is literally boom. Right there.
It's just across the road.
4 hours or some quick flight.
Do you remember the pub on Victoria Avenue?
I do. Yes, Gerald, I remember it.
Blackamoor head.
And it had a black face there.
You see?
I remember it, Gerald. Yes. I remember. Look, it had a little black head on the thing, you know.
The picture, yeah.
And we used to laugh all the time when we saw it. A little peanut head. I remember it. But this is what I'm saying. But now they make people to be confused.
Yeah.
So now you then end up with families not even understanding their own identities, you know, because they're not sure where they came from.
Yes.
Or you have animosity. I I think it was Tamer. I told.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a youth. I was a teenager. I think by then there was a young lady, and I want to just kind of put this without trying to, what I mean, put out people's business because certain people, they're too far.
Oh yeah.
This lady met a guy from a certain part in Africa. I know her family were Caribbeans. My God, they kicked up fuss like madness.
Yeah, because of
She
course
wants to
not
marry.
supposed
She
to
wants
marry
to
her.
marry a Butu.
Yeah, you see, this is the
I'm
thing.
not even joking.
That's the stuff that they would like to say.
She's marrying somebody. How do you know he's not going to take another 3 or 4 wives on top of you? All this kind of bit. They went crazy till they practically disowned their daughter because she wanted to marry an African man, and I was confused. My young age, I'm fastening up myself in the people's business anyway, But I was confused because I'm one. But the man is the same color as us.
Yeah.
Maybe he might eat some different food. You know what I mean?
It.
And that was all.
I
couldn't even think past that. I only thought maybe they eat some different food. But then I remembered that as Jamaicans, there are other Caribbeans who eat different food than us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I couldn't comprehend it. I couldn't get it.
Exactly.
Right.
And I've never comprehended any of that.
But this was a real thing. And for many people, even until today, it remains a real thing.
Yeah, because I told you before about those Nigerian kids. They used to be like, no, I can't marry no woman if she's not of this tribe. Or I can't marry no woman if she has to at least be from the same place. Like say if they're Nigerian, she has to at least be Nigerian. And if not just that, she has to also then be the tribe. Yeah, on top of being Nigerian. And if she's not Nigerian, at least there's no marriage happening. And the guy was making it clear, like there will be no marriage. Yeah.
And this is all part and parcel of the thing. So anyway, like I said, there's some more. I'm going to say a bit about the Maroons in a bit, which is connected with the Spanish. So we'll come to that. So then,
it will
go around to it. So the next thing we're going to say some more about the royal family and their alleged non-racist, ancestry. But we have a commercial break before that. So. So here's the commercial break. If you see today, I have on a nice pinstriped jacket, and I'll show you. Look, it's a nice pinstripe suit. As you can see, you see the trousers here. You see this suit here. Look at the inside, the tailoring. Can you see the quality? Yeah, I'm showing off, of course. Look at the quality. Look at this.
Even in the Caribbean.
You probably can't read that because it's back to front, but there it says, what does it say there?
It says specially tailored for Bishop JC.
Right. So this is my personal design. I designed this suit myself. Every single bit of it, I designed it. Look at it. Badman things. Yeah, look at it. Lovely. So, just so you know, next time when you guys need a suit or you need a suit for your man, check me. We can talk. We can do something. It's a serious suit, lovely pinstripe, and the quality is fantastic. Made in Thailand. So anyway, the advert is over.
Well, yeah, to Gerald's comments, because Gerald said that's why there are still problems in Africa.
Yes,
but there's problems. I'm in my shorts with AC set at 26.
Just get off of the line. You're not even impressed, man. Got move over it.
But what I was saying was, everywhere where there are people of color or where the origins of people, in that place or that country, there is problems. Every single place there are problems. That's what you find. There's not one place where there's not problems, and that's a fact.
Yes.
Yeah, every single place has got some sort of serious issues going on. I'm just reading something.
So let me start giving you some of this. Oh, Angel said what? We've got taste.
You've got taste.
Thanks, Angel. So yes, I made it myself. Well, I didn't make it personally.
Yeah.
I designed it
Designed it, yeah.
and I had it made. So that's what we're on now.
Mhm. So we talking about now Queen.
We're going to talk about Queen Elizabeth II's ancestor,
Ah, yes.
ancestors.
Uh-huh.
So let me read some of this. I'm not gonna give you all of it, but I'm gonna give you enough because I want people to really get the gist of it. Because here's the thing: before I read this, what I'm gonna say is this: we sat in school. Maybe for some people who didn't go to school in the UK, it might have been a little bit different. But if you went to school in the UK, you were forced to learn about the history of these royal people,
Yeah,
right? Queen Elizabeth's ancestry,
yeah. Henry VIII.
Harry's ancestry, William's ancestry, Charles's ancestry. We were forced to learn about it.
Yeah, we were.
We were also told that they are our royal family. Well, let me make it clear to you, they're not mine. They're not my people, they're not my blood, they're not my family, they're not my royal family. They are nothing and no one to me.
Right.
Right? And that's what I'm saying. And I'm quite happy to say that, and I don't care who hears it, who records it, or whatever they want to do with it. They are nothing to me. They're just human beings, and that's questionable.
Yeah, you know,
Right?
them
But
ones.
but they're no different than anybody else to me. They're not special more than I am.
No, they're not.
Right? But we were forced into that narrative in school. We were forced to read about them, study about them, and even answer examinations about them.
Yeah.
So that is the history that we were given. Like our world revolved only around them. So the rest of the world history did not exist. The history of people who looked like me didn't exist for us.
Not at all.
Right? So this is why I'm going to read to you what I've got here, because in the same way that they made sure we understood about that, they only gave us let me put it this, not even half the story. They gave us a snapshot of the good parts of the story. But any of the story which was negative and any of the story which is the real truth, they didn't give us that in school. So they made them, okay, yeah, Henry VIII was a bit out of order, chopped off some of the wives' heads and so on and so forth. But they made him look, the man was basically a sexual predator.
Yeah.
Right? And a murderer and a beast.
Yeah, he was.
Right? A beast.
And they still.
But they didn't paint him and portray him that way. Oh, he was just, a misbehaving king. He was a savage. Right? But anyway, let me read and give you the information, because none of this here, they weren't putting this across in school. Right? This is it.
They want to teach you about slavery, but not this bit. They're still not.
And they weren't putting this across in school, and they're not really telling them now. Elizabeth I turned out to be the one who sponsored John Hawkins, and Hawkins rented from Elizabeth I a slave ship, which was 700 tons, a 700-ton Navy ship called Jesus of Lubeck. Can you imagine? That's what the ship was called. John Hawkins was the first to run the triangular trade from Africa to the Americas and back to England, making a profit on every stop. And he worked for Queen Elizabeth I. For 150 years, the British royal family not only owned but monopolized the slave trade.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that line?
Meghan's people, who she's married into, they monopolized the slave trade.
Yeah.
Now, we could argue the point and say, well, she pulled Harry away from that on purpose, and maybe so, and good for her if it was like that.
Yeah, for real.
Because if she knows what we know, and you can know it, because I found the information, so can she.
Yeah.
Queen Elizabeth I, when she heard that she could get sugar, salt, cocoa, coffee, gold, pearls, etc., she said that she turned a blind eye to slavery.
Yeah. And before that, she was crying.
The whole Elizabethan period was financed with money from slavery and the slave trade. Right? So this Renaissance period, and remember, the Renaissance had already come to Europe from Africans.
Mm.
And was there, they had done so much in the Iberian Peninsula, southern Spain and Portugal for so many years until the Neanderthal blooded white people in northern Spain became jealous. They said, we have to get rid of these people.
Yes.
And that was
Once again.
and that was a collaboration of people of color.
Yes.
Jews, Arabs, Tuaregs, Berbers, and Moors, all working together. People of color, and they were bringing culture, and they said, no, we must get rid of them, and we want to dominate what they've left and say that it was ours. It's where this all began. And that went on through Europe from southern Spain into France and throughout the rest of Europe. But it started in Africa. See, that's what you have to understand. And for hundreds of years, it was fueled from the money of slaves. So in 1660, after the death of Cromwell, because remember there was a period where, for those who know history, and again we learned all this in school. Oliver Cromwell basically took over the monarchy.
Yeah.
And he became the Lord Protector of Britain in a period which they call the interregnum. Because basically what they said was the royal family were getting out of hand, which, you know,
they're being getting out.
They were. And Oliver Cromwell had enough support to mash them down.
To take the throne.
So Oliver Cromwell mashed them down and he said, I'm not going to become a king, you know, but I'm going to allow Parliament to rule the country, because basically up to that point, Parliament were not allowed to, you know, to talk. They're just, you know,
for decoration.
You know, so after his death, the monarchy was restored with Charles II ascending the throne. So because, you know, it was Charles I that had his head chopped off. Yeah. Charles II was the grandson of King James I. That's the one who wrote the King James version of the Bible. Well, he didn't write it himself, but he had it written.
Yep.
And had certain things
removed and added.
And so forth. The English slave trade was monopolized by the British royal family. The Royal Gambia Company, the Royal Adventurers Company, and the Royal African Company all belonged to the royal family. England became so rich through the exploitation of slaves, gold and ivory from the Guinea coast, that a coin called the guinea, which everybody has heard of that coin, guinea, in salute to the... For the what?
I think he's talking about
oh yeah, the Church of England owned many slaves. That's, you know, no argument about that. They became rich from slavery.
Yeah.
This guinea became the largest English denomination, and they're talking about from slavery. The guinea was worth 21 shillings. So you imagine that. So that's from serious. 1680 to 1685, the Crown and members of the royal family invested heavily in the African slave trade. Right, and none of this is just, it's not just, you know, coincidental things. Charles II's reign was up to 1685. And interesting enough, in 1688, which this was before Cromwell, but during the time of, I think it was 1688, I think, was when they took over Jamaica. 1688? Yes, it was 1688.
Yeah.
So Charles, because I'm just getting my because I put my notes in a bad order. 1660 to 1685 was the reign of Charles II. This was before the interregnum period. So this was still the you know, the monarchy.
Yeah.
So they pushed slavery, you know, and this was the time of you know, when it was hefty. They sought to bolster their power across the Atlantic trading, So Charles II granted a charter to the Company of Royal Adventurers into Africa, a joint private stock company. This was less than 6 months after he sat on the throne. It gave them a 1,000-year monopoly. This is from the king, the ancestor of this lady who's on there now, right? He gave them a 1,000-year monopoly over trade, land, and adjacent islands along the west coast of Africa, stretching from what was then known as Cap Blanco, that's Western Sahara, in the north, to the Cape of Good Hope in the south. Now, 1,000 years from 1660. Well, it's according to them, it's still going then, isn't it?
Yeah.
And this is what you've got to understand. Gerald, you've already said it on here. This is why Africa still has the problems that it has. And it's the real truth. Because that charter, as far as they're concerned, those blooded people, according to them, their things are still in effect. So they still have the rights over the land, which is why they are draining the land of all the resources.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
And trying to take control.
That's,
in the
you know,
of United Nations and all these Oxfam and all these other
that's what you got to understand.
Companies.
That they're still doing it. And if people don't understand the roots of this and where it comes from, the royal this and the royal that, and they have people now opening private companies, mining companies and all this type of thing. They're mining gold, they're mining diamonds, they're mining iron ore, bauxite, tin, all this stuff that they're mining out of the ground. And it's all valuable stuff. And it's all been raped out of Africa.
And they're not even paying what it's worth.
And the royal family have given 1,000 years, man. So you go into a man's land that doesn't belong to you, you step on the land and you say, for the next 1,000 years, this is my land. And you don't think those people are wicked, you must be joking. Not even 100 years, or even 200, 1,000 years. You see? So in other words, they're telling you, you should never get back that land.
Yeah, because they knew slavery can only last so
they
long.
Knew slavery wouldn't last, so they knew they want the land. And that's why they're in there until today. Royal family and their people then. So, and they had a vessel. The king lent the company a number of royal ships, including a vessel called, listen to this, the Blackamoor. Right? How come he's not calling it the Whiteamoor? And reserved for himself the right to 2/3 of the value of any gold mines discovered. You see me? Controlling English trade with West Africa in gold, hides, ivory, redwood, and ultimately slaves. And that allowed the crown to gain financial independence from Parliament.
Boom.
The Royal African Company was an English trading company set up in 1660, again by the royal family, in conjunction with the City of London, to trade along the west coast of Africa, led by the Duke of York, who was the brother of King Charles II, and later took the throne as James II. They shipped more, they shipped more African slaves to the Americas than any other institution in the history of the Atlantic slave trade. That is the English royal family. In the 1680s, the company was transporting about 5,000 slaves a year to markets primarily in the Caribbean across the Atlantic. Many were branded with the letters DOY for Duke of York, and others were branded with RAC on their chest. So they shipped more men and more women than any other company in the history of slavery. Between 1662 and 1731, they transported, and again, this is just their bogus figures, 212,000 slaves, which you know that it probably would have been much more than that.
Yeah, it was more like probably minimum 400, probably minimum double than that.
1688 to 1689, James II was dethroned by Cromwell. You see? So now this is what I want people to come today we won't necessarily last long. I'm just looking at the time, but because I'm putting out some serious facts here. You'd have to go back even and watch some of this to even get it all.
Yeah.
He was dethroned by Cromwell. They said these people, they're going on too far. They got them off the throne. But listen to this. With the company's royal patron out of the picture, English merchants seeking access to West African markets, it was now free for all. And it actually became worse.
Yeah.
It became worse. Parliament opened the slave trade to all English traders. Independent traders were required to pay 10% to the royal family. Right? They required all slave traders had to pay 10% to the royal family. So you think they don't have a hand, finger, foot, toenail, nose, and every other thing inside the slave trade?
Oh.
They did. They did.
Yeah, at the beginning.
An official era of free trade began, and this didn't end until 1712, apparently.
Yeah, officially.
So they say that European enslavers carried approximately 6 million enslaved Africans to the Americas, and half of these arrived in British or Anglo-American ships protected by the Crown and Parliament. So you got to understand, right? They were heavily into it. So even after, here's the thing now, even after the slave trade was abolished in 1807, they still made money because they were then capturing other ships and taking because what they then did was that when a slavery was abolished, they then this was ratified by the royal family, the British royal family. They now made people into pirates. The first governor of Jamaica, the first British governor of Jamaica, Henry Morgan, was a pirate. Morgan the Pirate. There's a bad man reggae tune called Morgan the Pirate. You can search for it and look for it. But yeah, the first governor of Jamaica. Yeah, they knew what they were doing. Put the pirate in as the first governor of Jamaica. You see, these are the things, and now they're not teaching you that. Maybe Jamaicans might hear that in Jamaica.
Yeah,
but people of color and otherwise, and even white people, you're not hearing that in school in Britain. That the British royal family made a pirate the first governor of Jamaica. You see, so from day one, they didn't have any good intention towards Jamaica anyway. You see, from day one, that's who they put as the governor general, the representative of the king and queen. They seized over 1,600 ships and 150,000 slaves. So what you've got to understand now, where does the legacy of the current royal family come into this?
Yeah.
Let me give you that bit of information, then I'm done. Then Tamar can say a bit, and then we'll talk about the Maroons, and we're done. Because I'm already feeling hot in this subject. So here's the legacy of the how this fits with the current royal family, the ones who are sitting there right now. There's a project called the Legacies of British Slave Ownership. So you can find this on the internet. It's called the Legacies of British Slave Ownership Project. And it's a big project. I've looked at it, and you can find information about plantations in various places, Jamaica, Barbados, and other places. A lot of information is there. I looked at, where most of the chambers came from and stuff like that, which most of them came from Hanover. But I just looked so I could just see, because as you know, slaves were given the surname of their master. So this project is based on the claims that were made by slave owners for compensation in 1833, when slavery was officially abolished in the UK. Slavery was officially, for those who don't know, let me give you the just a little information there. Slavery was officially abolished in 1833 in the UK. It was abolished in 1838 as far as the US was concerned. right? So that was basically, the so-called abolition. Some years difference there, and really that abolition didn't really change much.
Yeah.
They asked for compensation. They wanted to be compensated for all their slaves. So in 1833, it was abolished in Britain, as in the British Caribbean, Mauritius, and the Cape. And even though that was already 26 years after it was officially abolished, which was 1807.
You might know in Jamaica is there still crown estates.
Yes.
Where some of the crown estates were given to slaves.
Yeah, they've still got them. They still have them, Gerald. In all, the British government granted £20 million of taxpayers' money to compensate the slave owners, equivalent to 40% of the national budget at the time. And this was to buy freedom, because they had to buy them from the slave owners, which in today's money would be £17 billion.
Boy.
And this was lumped onto the national debt, and it wasn't paid off until 2015. So that means that every time they've been taxing even us black people whose ancestors were slaves, we were paying
We're
them.
paying for our
Paying for our ancestors to be freed from slavery.
Yeah.
Now, some people already knew that, but for those who didn't know it, I'm telling you again. I'm telling you now, and I'm telling you again, those who already knew it.
Yeah.
We who were paying taxes, right, who were working, and that will be me, my father, my brother. If we talk about the UK, it will be at least me, my sons, daughters, my father. That's how far back we can go there. All right. But then when you go back colonially, it's going to be more than that as well.
Yeah.
Because they take money from the Commonwealth too. Yeah. And this money is what is paying them white people, including the royal family, who are getting 10% from every slave trader. Remember? Every slave trader had to give the royal family 10%.
Yes.
Let's not forget that part. So when they tell Queen Elizabeth is probably the richest woman in the world, from slavery. Right. From slavery. That's where the biggest amount of their money came from. Yeah, because people and that's what you need to know.
It's not a coincidence, right? When you look in the UK who the richest people are, what is their skin looking like? White. Yeah, and any
hereditary money.
Yeah, I'm talking about what they call generational wealth.
Hereditary. Yes. Nonsense.
They are white people. There's nobody brown who has been here for generations upon generations, and they are rich like that. There's nobody. Everybody is white. And why is that? Because they all are descendants of slave owners.
Yeah.
They are all from slave traders.
Yeah. So hear this now. Croydon's biggest slave owner in 1833 was a man called George Smith. Smith was the son of a wealthy banker, a director of the East India Company. The East India Company, again, a royal connection and an evil piece of trash that was running slavery in India and in the West Indies. And for 24 years, he was an MP. He is the builder of Selsdon House, which is now the Selsdon Park Hotel. And he was the great-great-grandfather of Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon, who is the Queen's mother. Right? So the connection is very apparent.
It's not even far.
They ran, listen to this now, because I'm not done yet. Smith's family, that is the Queen's mother, their family, ran one of the 18th century's biggest banks, Smith Payne Smith, which would eventually become NatWest. What do you have to say to that then?
Right.
According to a report in the Metro about the connection.
Oh yes.
Yeah, we've already mentioned that. So that's where I'm stopping with that. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so did I.
And they just locked it.
Yeah, I remember you said.
Yeah.
But NatWest, let's them go on.
Yeah, see, I've got that with, and I never liked them. And they always make it hard for me to like send money and
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
NatWest
do
are awkward.
anything.
Yeah.
NatWest are very awkward.
Yeah,
And well, we know why.
yeah,
Because this is their legacy. And this is the thing that now some people will be like, is this really what comes under family lies and secrets?
yes,
Yes, it is.
it is.
Because the royal
Because the
family
people-
trying to paint themselves as better than what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because sorry, but this is not. It's not a. Oh, you know, when you look into the royal family, like what I was looking at, right? This is what I'm talking about. Now. 'Cause I tried to look for some things, you know, some dirt, as you would call it, on them, right? Yeah, and it's bringing me up that. Oh, I bet you didn't know the Queen enjoys a tuna sandwich with her crust.
Crust cut off.
Why do I care about her crust or what she's eating?
But the
When
thing
you
is,
know what information I'm looking for, but you won't
the
show
Queen,
it.
the Queen of England, she likes what sandwiches.
Yeah.
But there's nothing really spectacular.
Exactly.
About that. She's British,
You know how many people like
Them
tuna
yum
sandwich?
bread,
Them like tuna
But
sandwich.
there's not people that like tuna sandwich. I don't understand what that's good to. Oh, sorry.
With the crust cut off.
Yeah, what that has to do with anything?
Because
the
she
thing-
has high tea.
Yeah, but
That's
this is the
why.
thing. And when you speak to people, because what else did they say in it? Right? I think when they give you facts, it's almost like you have to have a certain mindset
Yeah.
to be able to decipher
Decipher.
what they're actually saying. What's read that first.
East India docks in London reckon they still own the land. What?
Yeah, Wapping.
Oh, Wapping.
Mm. I know it's Wapping even without
They
reading.
still own the land, but that's why there is only apartments built there now. I put cranes there from mid 80s until 2012 when I left for TNT.
Mhm. You're right, Gerald. That's exactly because it's their money, and even when they go through other companies, we still know the connection is there.
Why does that comment come there again?
What comment?
From Angel.
Yeah, strange, isn't it?
What?
Is it
Oh, you
just
got
pop there
taste.
again? No.
But it's not come there.
No.
But yeah, you have to basically any information that you want to know about them, you have to decipher it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you've got to read between the lines.
yeah, you've got to read between the lines, and you've got to almost piece things together.
Mhm.
You know, oh well, I've seen this something about this, so maybe this connects with this.
Yeah.
Because obviously we've spoken about this before, but only a little bit when we spoke about, you know, with the Queen and the picnic and the children
Mhm.
that she stole and sacrificed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Them children
Because
that went
those
missing.
children that went missing and never
were
ever
found.
ever came back or
They
were
ate
found
them.
again.
Yeah, they've been sacrificed.
They
Yeah,
ate them.
sacrificed.
Those will be her sausages.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting to.
Yeah.
Right. So then it talks about on here, yeah.
They ate
Where
them.
does it say? It says something about the Queen. What does it say? Something about the Queen never travels without this special kettle, right, to make her cups of tea.
Mm.
Is it cups of tea?
No.
Is it really, or is it guzi? Yeah. Then also talks about
Make your teeth warm
sausages
in the
from
blood.
Harrods are packed when traveling too. So she
From
specifically has these special sausages from Harrods, right, that she packs. And she always carries her blood.
Mm.
And she always comes with 34 people minimum.
Mm.
That's minus what, about 10 people that are normal, you know, hairdresser, you know, press conference people and bodyguards. Then on top of that, what's in these sausages?
Mm.
That you need to be bringing sausages from some. I'm sure they can literally make anything that they make for these people to eat. They're gonna make it from scratch. They're not gonna buy no pre-packaged sausage.
She's got the money. She can
Yeah.
have anything made.
Anything made that she wants. So why do
So
you need
there's
to
a
bring
reason
it?
why it has to be.
Yes.
And this is what we're saying, that these are all the things that people either overlook or don't understand,
Mhm.
you know, and they just don't look into it. So that brings us on to the last part then, if you like, which is about Jamaica. Of course it is. So I want to talk a bit about this, about Jamaica. I've mentioned before some things about the Maroons, but the reason why I'm even bringing it up is because it's to do with this whole thing of family lies and identity and all of this. And I think people need to understand this, because we've got to point the finger where it should be pointed. Yeah, and I am no longer um, interested in not pointing it directly where it should be pointed. So we know there are many Jamaicans, ones either who were born there or their parents were born there or grandparents or something like that, and they understand a bit about their roots from there. And they, many of them say, "Oh yeah, my roots in Jamaica, we're Maroons." And usually when people say that, I go, "Oh really?" And they look at me funny because they're wondering why I'm answering them like that. And I'm just saying, "Oh really?" And because I know that they don't really understand, many of them, I don't ask them anything further. I just say, oh, really? I said, yeah, so are we. And I leave it like that. Now, funny enough, I'm going to use my own family as an example. And I'm going to give you the raw truth, you know. And these two don't even necessarily really know this either, but they'll know today. You're going to learn today. So here's the thing. As far as I have been told and understand, we are Maroons from both sides of my family, my mum and my dad. But those are not the same.
Yeah.
Right? So let me give you the lowdown on it, so that you understand, because this is all the things that you will never be taught in any school anywhere. So you'll be, oh yeah, we're Maroons, and our ancestors are the ones who escaped, and and so forth. So yes, so okay, that's why we're stubborn, because it's Maroon blood. It's in our blood. Like, okay. First of all, let me dispel one absolute myth about Jamaica. Jamaica was a Spanish island, right? From 1492 until 1656, officially. The British invaded in 1655, and basically they felt that by 1656 they felt that they were in control, and it wasn't until 1670. So you see, I know my stuff when it comes to this. 1670, when the Spanish decided, okay, we'll allow you, so we'll leave you alone. But up until that point, they were still on edge because the Spanish were still telling them, we're going to take it back. But then the British went in there 1655. So here's the thing. So let's look at the history. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. You know that song or poem or whatever it is. Yeah. This lying Italian man sailed the ocean in 1492 on his way, and went. His Cristobal was his real name.
It wasn't even Christopher.
Cristobal.
Cristobal. Yeah.
So he went, and it was Colomb.
Yes,
yeah.
not
Cristobal
Columbus.
Colomb. And he went saying, oh, he was looking for the East Indies, and ended up
In the West
in
Indies.
the West Indies.
That is
That's lie number two.
In the opposite direction of where you was trying to go, and you're a sailor and an explorer.
Yeah, it was a lie.
Lies.
It was a lie. It was a lie.
You can't discover
was a lie.
something that's already
Yeah.
He left from the port of Cadiz in southern Spain on his way. Now here's the thing: when he went, he had navigators of color.
Yes.
Jews, and they were Jews, but they were Jews who looked like me. Yeah?
Literally in there.
The real,
And they were
real Jews.
They were translators.
Right? They were translators and navigators, so they could speak the language of the people who were already there. Because remember, the lie that they tell you is that Columbus discovered the West Indies. He didn't discover. I'm a Christian. Praise the Lord.
He didn't discover that.
I almost, praise the Lord. He didn't discover. All right.
Nothing.
He did not discover.
No, he found.
Right. Because
Somewhere
he
that was
found
already there.
people there. But this is the reason why he went.
Jamestown.
This is the reason why he went, and this is the bit that they don't want people to know. Right?
Yeah.
Isabella and Ferdinand, the Neanderthal
Yes.
queen and king of Spain, right, said, we want rid of the Jews and we want them out now. Find somewhere to put them, because some of them are going to decide that they're not going to leave. And what they said was, first they said, convert or die. Because what they said, that's where the Spanish Inquisition came from. And I'm not going into that further, but go look it up.
Yes, Catholicism.
Right? They said, convert to Catholicism or die. Now they say, oh, they were talking to Protestants, and no, no, they were talking to people of color, because there were, I told you, Jews, Arabs, which were Muslims, Tuaregs, which were some Christian and some Muslim, Berbers, some Christian, some Muslim, and Moors, some Christian and some Muslim, and Jews within all of them.
Yeah.
Right? And they they took those people and said to them, convert or die. And Isabella and Ferdinand said, we don't want them here, we want them out, because we want to take over the whole of Spain, and everything that they've done in southern Spain, we want to say that it was us that did it, and we don't want them to be here.
And is she that monobrow woman?
Yes.
And she's praised so highly.
And we only want the people left here who would be in agreement. So they sent Christopher Columbus to go and find somewhere to dump them. All right, I'm not going to go too deep in this history about it, but a couple of things that happened. First of all, they said in Portugal, because now what they did, they married their daughter to the King of Portugal. You know your history and you only visit Jamaica. How do you know I only visited Jamaica? I even went to school there for a very short time. I do know my history because it is my history. You have to know who you are. So they married their daughter, Isabel and Ferdinand married their daughter to the King of Portugal, right?
Enjoying it.
To make that alliance. So now they told the people of color, and this was targeted especially at the Jews. If you're going to stay, you owe us money and you must pay it now.
Yeah.
We're not even giving you any time to pay it. And if you don't pay it, we will remove your children.
Yeah.
So the Portuguese Jews couldn't pay the money. They took their children and they took them to the west coast of Africa. They planted these children on the west coast of Africa, and they planted them in Sao Tome and Principe. That's where they put them. Right? Then they told the white sailors who brought them there, have whichever ones you want.
Yeah, do what you want.
Right? So they now began impregnating them. And if you go, you'll see all those people who are on the coasts of the West African coast, they're all very even lighter than her. And even now, with the two parents who are both Africans, they're lighter than her. And they said, because they know they've got the white man's blood so much in them. You see? Now they took those ones, the children of those guys, they taught them and told them, you're different than the others. Right? You came from Europe, and even they told them, the ones who are now the children of the Jews, to the white people, they said, oh, you're different because your father is white, So now they made them more superior.
Yeah.
You see? Than the others.
You lot are better than the
You understand? So they're the first people that they took. The first people, and that's I'm jumbling the date line, but I'm just giving you the history of how it went. The dates are not the same, but I'm just giving the history. When they first went, and they now said, right, we want people to go to now the Spanish Americas, Spanish West Indies, which would be Hispaniola, which is Dominican Republic and Haiti,
Haiti now, yeah.
Cuba, Jamaica,
Yeah.
Puerto Rico, and so forth.
Costa Rica.
You see me? They said, we want people to leave. The first people who went there came from Seville in southern Spain, and they were Jews. They were politically black Jews, and they went there. They were not slaves.
No, they weren't. They were free.
They were free people, free men and women and children. And they went there and they said, we need you to go there. We need people to go there and populate it, blah, 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 boom. And they went. They were the first ones. Then some of the people in Seville and so forth, white people now, they realized, oh, this place, hey, these places are nice. And they feel hot like Seville.
Yeah.
You understand?
But
So they
even
said,
more resources.
so they said, we're going there to live as well.
Yeah.
So they went there to take over, to be in charge. And then they said, now we need people to work the land because we're lazy and because they couldn't manage it. So they began asking the people of color to work the land. And then they didn't have enough. So then they went now to go and get slaves.
Yeah, to go and collect.
All right, check it out. This is Portuguese and Spanish. This is what they did. They now went to go and get slaves. And where did they go? They went right back to where they put them.
Yeah. Where they dropped
Right?
the children.
The coast. And they knew now how they would do it is that now they would say, those ones that had their blood, they would speak to them and tell them, you're the overseer. You become the slave catcher. They then went to the indigenous Africans, those of the Hamitic line. Right now, I'm giving people a lot of stuff and I'm not breaking it down too deep, but I don't want to right now. They went to those of the Hamitic line and they told them, bring us captured people and we will take them as slaves and we'll remove them from your lands. Now, why was it easy for them to do that? Because they saw them as being different than them. They said, okay, they may have the same color as us, but they're not the same as us. They didn't come from here. Their origins are not from here. And that's what I'm trying to tell you, that not every person of color originated in Africa. Some of them originated elsewhere. And in particular, the ones who ended up in the Caribbean, the first ones who went to the Caribbean and to the Spanish and to South America and Central America, they originated from Spain and Portugal, and that's 100% fact. And when they didn't originate from there, they were the children of those who originated from there, so they still originated from there. Those are the first ones. Then they began now telling them, you become the overseers, etc., etc. We take now the slaves. Bam. So they began now with the slaves. So now when the Spanish now ruled in the West Indies from 1494, and let's talk about Jamaica now in particular, from 1494 until 1650s. Now in the 1650s, they thought that they didn't have a problem with Jamaica. So when they sent troops, they were sending them to go and defend Hispaniola, which now we know is Dominican Republic and Haiti.
Yeah.
That's where they sent their troops. They didn't send them to Jamaica. So the British saw that because the British were trying a thing and it wasn't working where they were doing it. So they said, right, let's go to Jamaica. Boom, they slid into Jamaica and they began to take over. And by the time the Spanish realized, they couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
So when the British took over in Jamaica, 1656, they now said, the Spanish slaves are our slaves. The Spanish slaves said, no, we're not. We're not your slaves and we're not anybody's slaves anymore. Boom, and we're going.
To the mountains.
And they went off into the mountains. Those ones were the first Maroons.
Yes.
The very first set.
Yeah, the original one.
Those were the original Maroons. And from day one, that's what they were called anyway.
Yeah.
Right? Those ones were the family and the descendants and the generation of the original people who went to Jamaica free. The original Spanish people who were black-skinned people, dark brown-skinned people. My ancestors, at least from my father's side, because that's why I said these two would hear something that they might not have known. From my father's side, that's where they came from. From the Iberian Peninsula, which is southern Spain and Portugal. They were the original first people of color who came from outside. There were people of color there already, the Taino and Arawak Indians,
Yeah.
right? And again, that's another story which I'm not going to go to now. But there's a reason why even they looked the way they looked by then,
Yeah.
right? Because they also started off darker. But those were the original ones. And they said, no, we're not going to be the slaves of the British. And they went. Then the British knew that this can't work.
Yeah, it's not working.
So what they did, they went now to the west coast of Africa, and they went and they brought Ghanaians. And they went and they brought Ghanaian warriors. Brought them as some as slaves, and they brought some as overseers. And they brought them in to be the overseers. Now, again, why would they be the overseers in Jamaica?
Then the French came and overthrew the Spanish. Then the British came and overthrew the French. In the meantime, the black people just sat and watched the mad people fighting each other.
Yeah. But in Jamaica, it stayed from the Spanish. It was the British.
Yeah.
When the British took over in 1655, they stayed in power in Jamaica until 1962, when Jamaica got independence. That was the British all the way in Jamaica. Now they went and they got the Ghanaians. They went and got warriors from Ghana, right? And again, there's a story behind that. I'm not going to go into that, but they went and got those warriors from Ghana. They brought them there. So now they had two factions, because straight away they brought them in as slaves and as overseers, because overseers were still slaves, right? Just that now they were a slave who could whip another slave. And why were they happy to do that? They were happy to do that because at the end of the day, they said, we're not the same people. All right. This is what I'm trying to get you to understand, because those people were the Hamitic line, the ones from Ghana, and the other ones, those ones were the Jews.
Yes.
You see, that's where their origination came from, their roots. They weren't the same. They might have the same skin color, but they were not the same people.
Very interesting. Would like to hear.
Which is why they lie and tell you that every person of color comes from Africa. It is a lie.
Yeah.
Right? It's an absolute lie. It wasn't like that. And they knew, and this divide and conquer business, the British have been at it from day one. So they knew, right, we bring them overseas. So now what happened was that now when the slaves heard that the Maroons, now the original Maroons, they now ran off. Some of the other slaves ran off now to join them.
Yeah.
So then now the British had to say, well, look now, what are we going to do about this? You see? Then what they've done, they've now said, if you look online, you'll see that they talk about two factions of Maroons, but it's not quite the way they put it. They call them the Leeward Maroons and the Windward, saying that the one set came before under a guy called Kojo, which would be the Ghanaian, and the other ones under a guy called Kwawu, which they say those ones now would have just been the others. But no, they're not the others. The other Maroons originally are the ones who did not come from Africa, right? But now what happened is that they then now went and they said, look, when they now had the Maroon uprising and other slaves started running off, they now went to the Maroons and said, oh, we'll give you land and we'll give you rights, power. So this is where now the issue came, because they gave power to the original Maroons.
DNA shows that all man and woman originally was.
Yes, we know that. We know that.
We know that.
We know that.
And not Dennis Owens either.
Yes. All original humans.
Yes.
All modern humans, sorry.
Yeah.
Were originally that political term. Black. I don't use it.
No.
But I know what, that's the term that they use politically. They're all brown skinned. All modern humans were brown skinned originally. But not all came from Africa.
Yeah.
Humanity, as in modern humans, originated in Africa, yes. But the first modern human to step foot in Europe was also from Africa.
Yeah.
So figure that for yourself. And this is the lie that they don't want. They want to make you think that, oh, the first modern human in Africa, in Europe, just suddenly happened to be white. No, Neanderthals were there, which were white skinned, but they're not modern humans, right? They've mixed their blood with modern humans, but on their own, they're not modern humans.
Yeah.
You see, same with the Denisovans. Those also, they mix their blood with the modern human, but on their own, they're not modern humans.
No.
The first modern human to set foot in Europe was a politically black person.
Yeah.
Right? So now, just to finish off the story about the Maroons. So they set them against each other. They used the Maroons now as slave catchers. But now the ones that they were using, because the other Maroons told them, don't chat to us. Those were the original. They said, we're not interested in what you're telling us. We're staying with our land, we're staying independent, and we're doing our thing. Those ones would be the ones that I know are my father's ancestry. Now my mother's ancestry is the other ones.
Yeah.
The warriors. Because you see, when people say, oh yeah, we're from Maroons because we're feisty and we're stubborn and we're all of the Maroons, as far as the white people were concerned, were feisty and stubborn. Right? So that's not it. But
those
the difference is the African ones were actually literally warriors.
Yeah.
You know,
they had a different nature.
They had their fighting was fighting to kill. You know, that was their nature. Now the other ones, they were independent people. So independence stayed in their blood system. It would have been even spoken into them, like how I speak to my children and tell them, you know, don't let anybody take you for a fool and etc. It would have been spoken into them. So they were different. But now when they then set them up the Ghanaian ones as the slave catchers. So every time slaves ran away, the Ghanaian Maroons were running them down, and they even were fighting on the side of the British and bringing back the slaves. You see? So, and of course, it was all set that way on purpose. It was set that way on purpose because they're saying, well, we're Maroons, we're different. But by then, of course, the stock of slaves would have been a mixture. It would have been a mixture now of Africans, original, as in the Hamitic line. It would have been a mixture of the Jews who had come in as from Spain and Portugal. And it would have been also a mixture of the original indigenous people who were already on the island of Jamaica when Columbus arrived there in 1493 and lied that he didn't find anybody there. So it became an amalgamation of all of those people. Now, another factor that some people do know is that they put the worst behaved slaves on Jamaica. So now you had slaves who you would have been from Congo, from Nigeria, which would have been at the time mainly they would have been the ones from the Kingdom of Dahomey, which was women. Those women, the Caribs, the Arawaks, and the Tainos. The women were the warriors in the Kingdom of Dahomey, and they were slave catchers, and they're Hamitic line, and they were catching people who were not of their bloodline. So in other words, they would have been the bloodline of the ones who came from Spain and Portugal, and they were capturing them and selling them to the slave traders. So you will have had a mixture of those. Then they began capturing other tribes who were other African tribes and selling them. So you will have had a mixture of those. That's where you had now the Igbos and the Igbos, which are coloured like Tamar. Generally speaking, and it's a saying in Jamaica, red Igbos, because that's how they looked. And again, why they look like that? Because of the bloodline, which again is the Jew, right? And check it out, and you'll see what's that.
That's why Jamaicans are too hostile.
That's right. That's right. And the Igbos, the origination of the Igbos, they are the Jews.
Yeah, because
that's their line, their bloodline.
On mum's side, with granddad, who's from Jamaica, but then when you looked into it, he wasn't originally from Jamaica. He was from that Igbo tribe as well. and originally a Jew.
Mm.
His ancestors were originally Jew, so we were originally Jew. We weren't even Jamaican, and then on top of that, we weren't even Caribbean.
African.
Yeah, exactly. Weren't even African.
Mm. You see, and that's where the mixture then came, because they put all the worst behaved, the ones that they couldn't control elsewhere, they put them on the island of Jamaica. So they would say, oh, when they were on other islands and they wouldn't behave, they would tell them you will be deported to Jamaica, because they knew the overseers were the harshest ones there. And why is that? Because they were using these warriors from Africa as the overseers who will beat you to death. You know, because they're soldiers, so they're not bothered. You're just another casualty. They kill you. They kill you. They beat them to death. And this was the mixture. And they put people of color one against another.
But this is still going on until now, isn't it? Because, you know, if you look into Africa, or even if you look into Jamaica or the Caribbean, right? If you look into Africa and you see, like what I was just saying about the tribes, like say for instance, for example, sorry, Nigeria, it would be, you know, oh, are you Yoruba or are you Igbo? Which one are you?
Neither.
Which one? Because if you're not Yoruba, no, I can't. I'm not interested in you. I can't chat to
Interested.
you. I can't marry you.
They have that
nothing.
animosity still.
Yeah, because oh no. And where did that come from? That is 100% because there had to have been selling out going on. Oh well, you're not my tribe, so boom, let the white man take them.
They divide and conquer. Or they give them. Oh, the white man is looking for some meat for him to have sex with. They give that one.
Yeah.
I'll give you that girl from that tribe.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they whited out the skin.
Yes.
You see? That's how they did it.
Mm-hmm. And still till now, that hatred that they've sown into to us as a people is still there.
Yeah, hatred against each other. Because this is where you get all this rubbish. Nonsense.
In Trinidad, the men afraid the red women.
Say that again. Of course, you don't know why too, because it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because of this, you know what I mean? This thing that's in them.
Yeah.
You get me? And this is the problem, that you then end up having this, you know, what they call black on black crime.
Yes.
Yeah. Worldwide issue.
Mm-hmm.
This black on black crime is because it's a bloodline issue.
Yeah.
Because and if people actually knew where they originated from and how they ended up from one island to another, and from, you know, some from Africa and some from Spain and some from this and that, and even like when they end up, even like, let's say you have them in London, that's why they even have the bloodline issues that they do. And yet what people don't understand there, you'll have a gang of guys who group together as a gang, and they can be Nigerian, Ghanaian, Jamaican, Trinidadian, and Bajan, and they all form one gang.
Yeah.
And all of them call themselves blood. But the difference is that they make a blood covenant with each other.
Yeah.
Right? And that becomes stronger than their ordinary blood.
Yeah.
Because it's a blood covenant. I'm not even going to get into that. If you don't get it, you don't get it. Ask me some other time, and I you know, because my life is not teaching. In that sense, I'm not going to teach. But blood covenants cannot be easily broken.
No, they can't.
You see? And they make blood covenants. And that's why those gangs, when people look at them, are like, how do they? You even got Asian guys in there, you know, Pakistanis and Bengalis in the same gang with them people, because they make a blood covenant.
Yep.
And they don't care about, oh, my mum came from this place and that place. Yeah. It's the white man that's perpetrating that rubbish. Mm-hmm. That's why the gangs are formed the way they do. Yeah. And that's what's the problem, because it's the only way that they find an identity, because they don't understand the mess that they've been given from school days, and from what they see on the road otherwise. So they form their own thing.
Because even in their own communities, there's issues. Because even if you look into like Pakistani and Indian communities, if you're dark, you all know there's something not right. You must have some sort of, you must have some sort of African.
And they're bleaching themselves out as well.
You need to bleach yourself. This is not normal. Mm-hmm. People wouldn't want to marry into that family because they must have some sort of African roots, and they don't want it in their family, and all these kind of things. And like what Dad said earlier with the Caribbean and the African think the same thing. Oh no, I can't marry this girl because she's a Jamaican and I'm a Ghanaian, and no, we must only marry Ghanaians. Yeah, and there's many people. Some people's parents will not even go to their wedding because they're not marrying from the same place.
And that's now, right now.
Yeah.
Right now, that's happening. I got stupid idiot people in my Jamaican family who asked me why did I marry to an African because I'm married to a Kenyan, and I'm not telling you on here what I had to tell somebody. Right? Because it wasn't Christian.
They got told what they needed to.
Of course, and I'm not even smiling because I'm not even. It's not even funny. Why they ask me rubbish?
That's what I'm saying though.
You marry who you feel like marrying.
That's okay. And the funny thing is, I think a lot of people don't get that because, of course, according to them, I don't like a lot of people. I don't like white people, or I don't like African people, or I don't like Caribbean.
You don't
people.
like your damn self.
Get over yourself. Get over yourself. Yeah. Why do what reason do people have to like you? Explain that. That's what I want to know. A person is a person is a person, and that's the end of it. It doesn't matter where you came from or what your skin is looking like. It's about who you are as a person. That's what really matters. So if someone can be from your country, your tribe, perfect for marriage, but you don't love them, what then? And then there's somebody who's white, maybe, because that's probably the worst one they can think of. Like a lot of these tribal African people. That's probably the worst situation. Somebody who's white English, and English, like their lineage is English. There's no Eastern European. There's no Spanish. It's just English. What? And you love that person. Then what? What are you gonna do? Are you gonna marry somebody that you don't love and don't care about simply because their skin matches your skin? And there's people out there that matches your lineage. Yeah, and there is. And that's where the problem is. Because then you're in this marriage and in this life that you don't even really want. And it's even too much to even get into because
it gives you a headache.
It gives you a headache.
You're trying to even work out why
they would have such a mindset.
So stupid. And you can't get it because
I can't understand it.
Your brain is normal and theirs.
Yes, but that's why anyway, because you've already heard it. Lots of people look at our family and say,
marry who you love, even if they're from Haiti.
Oh yeah. Because enough people from
people,
Haiti.
There's
zombies and all them people. And that's right. But even them, you marry who you want to marry. Whether it's a Chinese or an Indian or whoever, it doesn't. But that's the point, that also because our children and young people were taught rubbish things, even until today in school, there's all the confusion. And some families are even perpetuating the same rubbish in their house, and you wonder why. Why? Stop that nonsense, man. And even when people think that they know, oh yes, because in Jamaica it was like this and that, you're wrong. You don't even know.
Exactly.
So you don't even know where you came from. You don't even know your own roots. You're just talking, because yard man is different because
why? Because maybe you're not.
You might have come from the overseers who were beating out the other slaves.
Yeah, what then?
So mind yourself. Because you don't know.
And you're the same person. I can't marry no white woman. But yet your great granddad was beating up everyone else on the plantation. You don't know.
That's why all those things are pure nonsense.
Yeah.
And for anybody, who understands Jamaica, they even know when you look in Jamaica, you can see what I'm saying. It's true. Because you've still until today you've got those bougie families there. And Alma, she knows what I'm saying is true. And they are the biggest plantation, housing and everything. They're the ones with the money, they're the ones, some of them are the ones who get into politics and and the ones who don't want to go into politics, they're the biggest company owners and all of this. And it's still the same bloodlines.
Yeah.
You see, it's still the same bloodlines. It's those ones who were given the privilege to beat up the other slaves, and it's otherwise the ones who have got the white man's bloodline.
Yeah. and that's why they were in the house and all
Yeah.
etc.
You know,
And this is facts.
and this is the problem. You see that it's not taught in the right way. It's not exposed in the right way. So even people in their own families, they don't understand who's in there
Yeah.
and where they come from. Yeah, I'm glad I know mine. The little that my parents told me and taught me, I discovered the rest for myself.
Yeah. Exactly.
You see, and I've looked deeper than what any school will ever show you.
Yeah.
You know.
Always.
So that's it. We hope that people can get something out of that. Now,
Well,
what did
we've
you
said a lot.
tell me we were going to talk about next time?
Oh. Because it was something quite juicy now. I've forgotten what we were gonna.
Because you
Let
know,
me think.
oh Lord, and we said it might even take us a few weeks.
Yeah, we did, didn't we? Because we were watching that thing, weren't we?
What
We were watching that documentary.
Was it today or yesterday?
Yesterday.
Oh,
It was yesterday. We were watching that documentary, and it was that documentary about Morocco, but there was something specific in it that happened. And then we said, oh, we're gonna have to speak about this situation or these people. But I can't remember. It's not coming to me now.
No, I don't remember.
It's not coming to me now, no. You know why? It's because there's too much other things in my brain at the moment.
Yeah, because
this has been quite heavy.
a lot.
Yeah.
But don't worry. Anyway, we always come with something interesting to some,
Yeah.
disturbing to others. But, you know,
It is what it is.
Now I've forgotten again, but I remember the title. What Dad said the title should be.
What was it?
About Israel.
Oh yes.
Yeah. I remember now. That was it. Yeah. About
That I do not support
the state
of
of
Israel.
Israel. Yeah.
It does not
Where
exist.
it came from. You
And
know.
that's what we're going to talk about.
The state of
starting
Israel is not
next
real.
week. I do not support the state of Israel.
Nope.
It's not a real thing.
Where did it come from?
I do not support the cause of Zionists. And
No.
we'll talk about this next week. Oh. So advert again. Look. Watch out. See, YouTube can see it very well. This one first.
Oh yeah, because you've not got as much space.
Nice pinstripe suit here, just so everybody can see. That's the jacket. See?
So the COVID rate in Jamaica.
Jamaica never even closed, Gerald, because Jamaicans are too rude. They didn't even close.
Yeah.
They weren't even listening.
No, people going to the market and their mask is just like on their forehead
underneath their chin. But look, this is the suit here. This is my personal design. You see the buttons?
Oh, you clicked on
it. 5 buttons, my design. Inside, my design. Look at that. Look at the tailoring, the quality. It says there, what did it say there? Specially tailored for Bishop JC. It's my label. So when you need a suit, make sure you check me for your man or for yourself. And the quality of the material is absolutely top notch. I designed it myself, and it was tailored in Thailand. Right. So.
And they have nice
jackets,
nice environmentally friendly packaging.
Yes, everything
comes with a suit.
Everything is biodegradable. Yeah. And watch it. Look at that. Look at the lining and everything. It's fantastic. You see, really nice. It matches the pocket square.
Yeah.
Right, and that's a couple of £100 and a bit, maybe less than £300.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully, if I get my little commission out of it, it still can stay under £300. Proper suit. So yes, thought we'd do that little commercial, so you know. So thanks everybody.
Yeah.
And
always a pleasure.
We will see you next week.
Yeah.
With a real dangerous topic.
Oh gosh, they're gonna drop us off. They're gonna try to chop us off, or we're gonna have some more,
trials.
Yeah, exactly.
Enjoy the weather.
Yeah, innit? Enjoy that weather.
We're not really. In fact, we're not even interested. We don't like you.
No.
While I'm here,
telling us about you've got your AC switched on.
Yes. AC, I can't even go out without a jacket.
We're not impressed. Take care till next time, man.
Thanks,
Bye, everyone.
guys. Bye. Good night.